Wala pa pala. A blessed day to everyone. Now we are on the discussion of the introduction to criminology, the very first subject being taught in the first semester, first year of those who are taking up Bachelor of Science in Criminology. But before we go to the topic, let us begin with a quotation, no, from no less than Lao Tzu, the father of Taoism. He said, "Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become a character. And watch your character because it becomes your destiny." So there is truth on that quotations that everything that what we become is a product of our thoughts that are repeatedly going on through our mind that becomes the basis of our words, and words that we repeatedly uttered becomes the basis of our actions, and actions that is done repeatedly becomes a habits, and that habits forms part of our personality that we cannot just easily change. Now let's proceed to the subject matter itself. Introduction to Criminology. Okay, and yours truly, Dr. Ariel de la Cruz Manusok, okay, would like to present to you the topic Introduction to Criminology with all these backgrounds. As you can see, I have listed here some of the bureaus or agencies of the government, which are actually the very bureaus or agencies that accepts, no, graduates of criminology. But take note, these are not all. These are just some of the agencies of the governments that will accept or that will cater graduates of criminology with opportunity for job placement. Okay? So, syempre, nandiyan ang Philippine National Police, ang pinaka number one. Nandiyan ang NBI, nandiyan ang Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, the Bucor, the Bureau of Fire Protections, and the others. Okay? Now, there are questions that normally comes to our mind. What is covered by the course? Okay? By the way, for purposes of clarification, the word course is the one that is usually used or properly used when we are talking about the subject. Okay? The word program is referring to the course itself that we are used to call course, which is BS Criminology. BS Criminology is actually not course, it is more of what we call a program. Okay? The courses are the subjects that we are taking under the course under the program of the BS Criminology. So under the introduction to criminology, these are the lessons, these are the subjects that we are going to discuss. The lesson 1 will cover criminology, its nature, origin, concept, and including the division or scope of its study. The second lesson will focus on the historical development of criminology education, focusing more on the people behind the development of the so-called classical, neoclassical, and the positivist school, because the different theories will be separately discussed under the theories of crime causations, okay, which is another subject under the program of BS Criminology. The third lesson is focused on crimes, its nature and classifications, both under the legal and the criminological sense. The fourth lesson focuses on criminals, definitions, concepts, and its classifications. And the fifth will be on the sociology of law, dealing with the introduction to the criminal law and the historical development of our criminal law and in the world. And the sixth is introduction, a little introduction about criminalistics and a little introduction about law enforcement administration. So basically, these are the lessons that we are going to take up, but we will just focus now on the lesson number 1. To begin with, Lesson 1: Criminology is origin, nature, and scope of study. For every lesson, it's better that we have to outline some learning objectives. Now, these are the guidelines that will serve to facilitate the learning of our students, specifically on a particular lesson. For purposes of lesson 1, we have here three objectives. Okay? So, as learners, you have to take note of these learning objectives. Why? Simply because these are the things that we hope that you will learn and put in your mind at the end of the lesson. So, if these objectives were not fulfilled, it means there is lacking or there's failures in the process of learning this lesson number 1. First, to know and to understand the concept and the nature of what criminology is. And second, identify and explain the three broad divisions of the study of criminology. And lastly, is determine the scope of the study and discuss the various fields related to the subject criminology. Now, let us have some questions. First, what is criminology? If you will ask somebody with the question what is criminology, most likely they will just simply say, "Oh, it's a study of crime." Okay? But we will go through with a more broader sense or discussion of this later on. Second question. What comes first in your mind when somebody told you that they are taking Bachelor of Science in Criminology? Normally, if someone tells you that they are taking up Bachelor of Science of Criminology, you will think that they are aiming to become a law enforcers, right? Yes, because actually that is the basic knowledge, that is the basic understanding of people around. That when you took up criminology, your primary objective is to become a foolish man. Oh, sorry, policeman, rather. Third, what is the usual reaction of people when you say to them that you are taking Bachelor of Science in Criminology as your chosen program? Just like in the second question, but this time you are the one asked of your course and you said, no, not course, program, that you are taking up Bachelor of Science in Criminology. What is the usual reaction of the people around? Normally, people will say, "Oh, police." And that's what I actually experienced when I took up BS Criminology. Every time that people ask me, "Anong kurso mo?" And I say, "Criminology," they will always react, "Oh, police." But sad to say, they just know a little of what criminology really is all about. Okay? So now let's formally discuss the contents of the lesson. Okay, let's begin by knowing the origin, the etymology or the etiology of the word criminology. Based on dictionary, the word criminology was derived from a Latin word crimen, which means accusation, and the word logia, which means to study. So in literal sense, it means that criminology is the study of accusation, meaning it deals with the study of how people or persons are being accused or charged for the commission of a crime. But historically, before the word criminology came to existence, there are some words that are first used, which is said to be the foundation of the word criminology. As a matter of fact, as early as 1885, through the effort of an Italian criminologist in the person of Raphael Garofalo, he was able to crafted the word criminologia. This is an Italian word, okay, which said to be the source or origin of the word criminology that we are using right now. And later on, after 2 years, a French word, criminologe, was introduced by a French anthropologist in the person of Paul Topinard. And then it was only in the early 20th century or 1924 that the English word criminology was finally crafted by no less than the so-called Dean of Criminology in the world, Edwin Sutherland, who is also known as the person behind the elaborated or broad definition of what criminology is, and that is usually being memorized by students taking up criminology course. Now, after knowing the origin of the word, let's go now to the very essence of the word. As stated by Edwin Sutherland, criminology is defined as the entire body of knowledge regarding crimes as a social phenomenon. It includes within its scope the process of making law, the breaking of law, and the reaction towards the breaking of the laws. You will notice in the presentation that the study of the process of making law is followed by the statement sociology of law. Okay? While the study of breaking of law is followed by criminal etiology, and the reaction of our society towards the breaking of the law is followed by the word penology. That is actually the three broad divisions of criminology based on the definition crafted by Edwin Sutherland. But this definition is the sociologically broad definition of what criminology known to many criminologists now. But aside from this definition, there is now a legal definition of criminology, and this was defined under the new law, the Republic Act 11131, otherwise known as the Philippine Criminology Profession Act of 2018, which states that criminology refers to the scientific study of crimes, criminals, and victims. It also deals with the prevention and the solution of crime. You will notice that in this definition, a new addition is actually emphasized, and that is the word victim, which is not a focus of many criminologists in the past. But with the new or with the advent of many modern studies, they now included the study of victim as a component part of the study of criminology. Okay? Now, for better understanding, we have to know the nature of what criminology really is. Okay? To some, criminology is a study of crime. That is true for the classical. For those who first studied crime, focus on the legal concept. Later, some people define it as a study of crimes and criminals. They include criminals now because that is the product of the positivists, that men are different from one another. Despite the fact that all men has free will or have the free will, they committed a crime by reason of so many factors which are unique to every individual. And later on comes the victims. That makes now the new legal definition of criminology in the Philippines. Okay, so now let's discuss the branches of criminology. Generally, there are three branches of criminology to deal with. One is the criminal etiology, which is the study of the cause or origin of the crime. Or it is also defined as the study of the primary reason for crime commission, or in simple statement, it is simply the study of crime causation, meaning what causes men to commit the crimes. Actually, this subject or branch will be discussed in a separate course, which will be the so-called theories of crime, which will be covered in another semester. Okay, so this entails a lot of theories, both the old and the modern theories that are studied by people, generally divided into three concepts, no? The biological, the psychological, and sociological, which later on intertwined or mix up together. Okay, The second division or branches of criminology is the sociology of law. It is the attempt at scientific analysis of the condition which the penal or criminal law has developed as a process of formal or social control. Now, there are two concepts of this. One is how the law is created in our society. And second is what condition these laws creates in our society as it is implemented. Okay, so this will be covered towards the end of our entire course. And the third one is penology. Actually, penology is derived from the Latin word pena, which means penalty, and logia, which means study. So literally, penology is the study of penalty. But it's more than that. Why? Because penology is a branch of criminology focused on the study of the prevention of crime and delinquency as a form of social reaction to criminality. And as we know, in order to prevent crimes, aside from addressing the causes of crime, we also address the fact that crimes are being committed by people. So we have to prevent them from further committing the crime. That's why penalty is being studied as to how it can effectively deter the commission of further crime. And that is covered by penology. Some people misunderstood penology as jail management. But for clarification, penology and jail management are two different aspects. Okay? That's why if you look at the name of the bureau, we have the Bureau of Jail Management and the conjunction used is and penology, which means that jail management and penology are two different aspects of the Bureau. Let's proceed to the study of the nature of what criminology study is. For better and easy recall, let's use an acronym. And what is the acronym? SAND. Each letter of this word SAND stands for one of the four characteristics of what a criminology study is. So let's start with letter S. And what is that stands for? It means that criminology is a social science. Now, this is very, very true. Why? Because criminology is actually a son of sociology. Why? Because as defined by Edwin Sutherland, crime is a social phenomenon. Meaning, ang krimen ay isang pangyayari sa isang komunidad. Which means to say, for us to be able to understand crime, we need to study the society and the behaviors of the people living in that society. Why? Because no society is free from crime. And crime is a normal part of every society according to Emile Durkheim, the father of modern sociology. Okay? And very simple explanation. Crime is committed in the society. Okay? So if there is one institution that should first battle against crime, it is the very society itself, the people who live in that society. Although in our criminal justice system, the community lands only as the fifth pillar because the first pillar is the law enforcement. Okay. So that is the concept that criminology is a social science because study of crimes involves the study of society. Psychology is also known as an applied science. Why it is called an applied science? For a practical reason. We don't just study criminology just for us to know why crimes are committed and how crimes are being committed and how to solve crime. But definitely, once a crime is committed, we have to do something out of it. That's why we have SOCO. We have criminal investigation. We have criminalistics or the so-called instrumentation in criminal investigation. And what is that? It simply means the application or the use of whatever knowledge together with the tools or instruments of modern sciences in order to solve crimes, in order to appreciate how and why crimes are being committed, and to be able to craft policies in order to prevent further commission of these crimes and to be able to reduce, if not totally eradicate, its existence in our society. So, criminology is an applied science, definitely, because what we learn requires application. As a matter of fact, the true importance of learning is by its application. Let's go now to the third nature of what criminology is. And according to our textbooks, criminology is nationalistic. From the word nation, okay? What does it mean? That the study of criminology depends on the nature of the country or state that we are dealing with. Why? Because we know that different countries may have different sets of laws. And crimes depends on the law existing in a country. As what the Latin maxim said, nullum crimen, nulla pena sine lege. In Tagalog, walang krimen kung walang batas na magsasaad ng kaparusahan sa paglabag nito. Okay? So, that is very simple explanation why criminology is nationalistic. Before you can truly understand criminology, crimes and criminals, you have to learn the law of nation, of your nation. Why? Because by knowing the law, you can easily understand crimes and you can understand better what elements or what constitutes the commission of a certain crime. And in our country, the main and the primary source of our criminal law is the revised penal code, which is actually a revision of the Spanish penal code that were adopted by us and later on modified when we are already under the American regime. The last Okay? The last in the nature of criminology is that criminology is dynamic. That's letter D. And dynamic simply means, in one word, change. What does it mean? Okay? There is nothing permanent in this world. Wala pong permanente sa mundo. And as a matter of fact, some people say that the only thing that is constant is changes. O, di ba? Parang ano yon, contradictions. Anyway, let's discuss this very clearly because this is us in the board exam. Criminology is dynamic for the reason that our societal condition changes. So, with the crimes. As our societal conditions change, our standard of living change, our laws may also change. And changes in our laws will causes changes in the study of our what? Crimes. This is very true. When I was studying criminology, no, way back 1993, huwag niyo na pong bilangin kung ilang taon na ako ngayon, no? 1993, we don't have this transnational crime. We don't have this subject organized crime. And we are not talking about cyber crime. Because during our time, hindi pa uso yung mga internet na yan, no? May computer, ang uso nun, Lotus 123, kay WordStar. Wala pa po yung mga YouTube, yan, yung mga UGs. Ay, sorry. That's bad. Yung mga, kung ano bang mga internet service providers na yan, no? At saka yung mga ino-open natin, mga TikTok, mga TikTok, mga TikTik. Alam ko lang, meron dati TikTik, no? Okay, so yan po. Dynamic. Nagbabago po. Kaya naman, even in the study of crime, before, when we were studying criminology, our teachers only taught us of two elements of crime to exist. And that is what? Desire and opportunity. But now, teachers No, teaching criminology discusses three elements for a crime to exist, and they are desire, opportunity, and capabilities. To the division. Actually, I already discussed the division short kanina, no? Ano po yon? That criminology has three major divisions: the sociology of law, the criminal etiology, and the penology. So it's very clear that these three broad divisions were patterned from the definition of criminology that was actually crafted by Edwin Sutherland. Okay, but as I said, the concept of penology and sociology of law will be discussed in another course. Now let's talk about the scope of the study. Okay, so there are three broad scope. One, the study of origin and the development of our criminal law, because there is no crime without a criminal law. Second, the study of causes of crime. This is the study of the reasons behind the commission of a crime. What turns men to commit a crime? And third, study of the different factors that enhances the development of criminal behaviors. Okay, and to cover that, these are some of the related studies that we have to go through in order to understand better what criminology is. Actually, criminology is a multidisciplinary program. Why? Because it's not a product of only one subject or course. It is a blending, a mixture of a different field of studies such as sociology, law, okay, psychology, anthropology, basta may G, no? Those are different kinds of study. Now, of the reasons for the development of criminal behavior. They are as follows. One, criminal demography. Okay. So every time you encountered a word or title with two words, you always begin defining the second word. Like in this instance, we have the word demography. So demo means people or population. So demography deals with the study of population. So when we study population in relation to criminality, that is criminal demography. Okay? From the word demo, which means people. It's very true that in many populated places, crime is prevalent for a simple reason. The more people, the more possibility of conflict will exist. And the more possibility for the reasons for a crime to be committed against one another. Second is criminal epidemiology. Epidemiology deals with the study of environment. Okay? Take note, environment is the focus of epidemiology, the physical surroundings. And we know that we learn from our surroundings. Okay? In other words, they use the term milieu, okay, in the board exam. But if you check that in the thesaurus, milieu means surroundings. So that is what? Epidemiology. When you study the physical surroundings in relation to the kinds of crimes being committed in that place. Now, there is one confusing term here, and that's criminal ecology, because some people misconcepted ecology with environment. They are not exactly the same. Why? Because ecology is more concerned about the distribution in the environment or in the community. That's why when we speak of ecology, we are not talking only about the physical surroundings. We are also talking about what are there in the physical surroundings and what are their relationship to each other. Just like for instance, why in the farm, no, we should not kill all snakes. If we will eliminate all the snakes, then all the rats or the rats in the farm will be a victorious one. Anong ibig ko sabihin? Magdidiwang ang mga daga pag inubos natin ang mga ahas. At ang ending nun, luhaan ang magsasaka. Bakit? Dahil sino o anong gagawin ng daga? Siyempre, mababait yan. Kakainin ang iyong mga pananim at ang mga bunga nito. So yun po. So that speaks of what? Environment? No, we are talking of what? Ecology. Because we are not just talking about the physical surroundings, but we are also talking of what is there and how they are properly placed or distributed. The seventh one is the physical anthropology. Actually, this is the one that was studied by Charles Darwin, the writer of the Theory of Evolution of Species, which was followed by Cesar Lombroso. That's why he has the concept of atavistic stigmata, no, in identifying criminals. So ito po based on the physical appearance of man from head to toe. Okay? We have criminal psychology, which is simply the study of human behavior in relation to criminality. And a more deeper one, the criminal psychiatry, the study of human mind in relation to criminality. Here, we focus on the different kinds of mental disorder and how we could address so that we can help people recover from it and how we can protect the society from this kind of people. Okay, so practically, those are just some of the very relevant studies connected to the field of criminology. And lastly, we have victimology, which is a new addition, and this will be discussed in a separate lesson. So that's it for the lesson one. Thank you, and I hope you learned from these presentations. And don't forget to go back to the learning objectives. If we did not accomplish the objectives, then it means we have to go further, we have to research, and anyway, that is the very foundation of criminology research. Okay, so let's start learning how to research so that we can discover more, we can learn more, and hopefully we can put what we learn into actual usage for the benefits of all and not just for the benefits of a certain group of people. See you on the next lesson. God bless.